Hi everyone, I just wanted to pop in here and well actually I have actually been MIA. I know this this solar eclipse season, I don't know, Mercury retrograde, what have you, it got to me and I had to really just tune out and tune in. So yeah, my apologies that I've been a little bit MIA this week, but I'm back. Mercury retrograde left us, I think, on the 22nd or something. I do follow astrology, but slightly, because I don't like to I like to think that we still have power no matter what the stars say to us, but I also believe that we are so connected. We are actually made out of stardust. We are made straight from the Big Bang, all the same particles and chemicals. We are definitely part of the stars and we are a star ourselves. So anyways, this topic today is about patterns and deconstructing patterns. I saw a quote today that I posted up on my Instagram where it says, "Your problems are not problems. Your problems are subconscious patterns that need to be adjusted." Now, the thing is with this is the subconscious pattern. How are we supposed to know when we're in a pattern when it's subconscious? Subconscious means that it's subordinate, it's subterranean, it's underneath, it's underlying. And patterns they are inherited from us. Patterns given from our parents, patterns, roles, habits, all of this has been passed down to us from cultures, from religion, from society, from our gender roles. All of this is given to us. We are a product of patterns passed down to us and given to us for generations. And here's the thing, our brain loves patterns. All of nature moves in patterns. This is why I also love sacred geometry. You will see patterns across all spheres of anything in nature because patterns work for us. They're designed to work for us. However, being human and being of this conscious higher mind, we also get patterns that do not serve us. And these are the ones that we need to break. And breaking patterns, and you've heard me say this before, breaking patterns is a billion-dollar industry, right? Breaking the patterns of addiction, breaking the patterns of negative relationships, breaking the patterns of trying to eat healthy and to lose weight. All of these are subject to patterns, habits, roles, programming, beliefs that are ingrained in us. Now, the reason why it's so hard is because our brain really likes to have patterns. We are creatures of habits. We develop all of these things because it's easy for us to live this way. Anything new, and you've heard me say this before as well, anything new that our brain has to learn is very, very taxing. This is why when you're learning a new language or anything new, we actually, our head wants to explode at anything new. So the danger of this is that when it's subconscious, it is so interwoven in our being. And I'll tell you a story about my own personal life, and that is the pattern of yelling. So my father was a yeller. He did not know how to speak calmly at all. Everything was about force, rage, and screaming. Every time he needed something to go in his way and he wanted something done, it was through yelling. And I grew up with this, and obviously this was passed on to him from who knows how long, from generations and generations of parents yelling at their kids and so on. And his siblings, he has 9 siblings. I have 9 aunts and uncles. They're all yellers. Like it's crazy. So obviously I became a yeller. The funny thing is there's 4 siblings. I have a sister and 2 brothers. My 2 brothers ended up going the opposite. They ended up toning themselves down, and me and my sister became yellers. So what happens here is that I tend to raise my voice when I get excited. I tend to raise my voice when I'm trying to make a point. So what happens when I date a guy who is completely avoidant? I dated a guy who came from completely the opposite. His family was so quiet. I had, dinner at a table and they were barely speaking to each other, and they never argued about everything. It was that type of family where they swept everything under the rug and just hoped that it would quietly go away. So that was completely the opposite of how I was raised. So when it came time to conflict, I would try to make my point, and I would raise my voice subconsciously. And he would say, "Why are you yelling?" And I'm like, "I'm not yelling." And he would be completely shut down. So that was his pattern, is shutting down and being completely avoidant and not communicative at all. And I could, yell till the sun comes back up again. So this relationship, I don't need to tell you that it did not last very long. And it really, a pattern you will only realize that a pattern is subconscious oftentimes is when something upsetting happens, when something shocking happens to you, or when you keep getting the same unwanted results over and over again, and you're left in confusion and you're saying, "Why did this happen to me yet again?" Or when somebody really, comes down hard on you and jolts you out of this so-called pattern. So, and the reason why that we don't easily recognize these patterns is that we're too busy seeking other things. These patterns are just, the way we are. We go through life with this, and ultimately we're always only seeking a few things, and that is, am I loved? Am I worthy enough? Am I seen? Can you validate me? So these things that we're seeking are keeping us so busy that we are not able to take a step back and realize that it's actually these subconscious patterns that we keep playing out in our lives to answer these core questions. Am I loved? Am I seen? Can you validate me? Can you approve me? Am I worthy enough? So we're so busy seeking these things that we don't we dismiss, or we just don't see the fact that we are just playing in to the same patterns in our lives. So to break a pattern, the first things first is having awareness of it. And this is why I love having a practice like meditation or mindfulness, something that allows you to take a quiet moment and step back and really reflect and go in and introspect into what is happening. Why are these things recurring into your life? Now, the trouble with awareness is that it often comes with judgment. We become aware of something that we don't like about ourselves, and then that's when the self-flagellation, the self-deprecating happens, and I am just as guilty of this as anyone else. And that too, again, is a pattern. So if you come to a point where you can be compassionately and gently aware of these negative patterns that are no longer serving you, then I implore you to come without judgment. Just observe it. Just be present to it. But it does require stillness, and it requires honesty. It requires stillness and it requires honesty. And then from there, you can keep checking in and doing, and actually not even after you check in, it's not about breaking a pattern, because breaking patterns are so hard. It's literally embedded in our brains. What you want to do and what the most effective way to do things is to build a new pattern on top of that. So now when I to break my yelling pattern, what I actually do instead is I actually go the opposite. As I created a new pattern of actually toning down my voice and speaking quietly. And another pattern that I also do is I actually, when I'm feeling upset and when I'm feeling myself getting triggered or activated and I want to raise my voice, I actually I'll put my hand on my heart, and it calms me down. It makes me check in, and I can change and tune in my voice. So instead of trying to break a pattern, it is much better to recreate a pattern, create a new pattern. That is another mechanism that you can do. But first and foremost is that you have to be aware, number one, that you do have subconscious patterns, programmings, and beliefs that are no longer serving you. You have to be willing to be still for a moment, gain some honesty around that without judgment, come from a self-compassion, come from acceptance, and then you can work towards creating a new pattern. And I hope that helps. There was a lot there, and a lot of subjects. I talked also about, feeling loved and feeling validated and worthy. And again, that's all coming from within, and that all starts with also self-awareness. So if you have any questions, do feel free to let me know. If you think you're running a pattern, definitely write it down. Let me know here. If you're discovering a subconscious pattern that's arising that you want to hash out or fine tune, feel free to let me know. Put something in the comments. And I hope you have a great week. We are in a new full moon phase. Mercury is no longer in retrograde, and hopefully the last 2 weeks I felt so heavy. I was on the brink of something that I just had to chill out for a little bit and stop the regular pattern, stop going down that pattern and interrupt that pattern and start again. So this is why I also love creating habits and rituals around moon phases and around special dates. Like solstice was last week as well. So those are other things that can remind you to create new patterns, create new habits, new beliefs, new programming that will serve you. Thank you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.